Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to the Energy Speaks Life podcast. I'm Energy, the self mastery coach, speaker, mediator, and author. This show teaches about personal development and self improvement for those who want to achieve self mastery. Each episode, you'll receive tools, tips, strategies, and techniques that you can take action on today. And today, my guest is Dr. Shelly. We'll discuss everything there is to know about mindset, wellness, how to overcome burnout, and so much more she's going to share. So make sure that you stay tuned, and she's going to provide a lot of valuable information today. So do not miss out. Dr. Shelly, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and your relation to some of the topics that we will be discussing today.
Yes, thank you so very much, Coach Energy, for having me today. My name is Dr. Alicia Shelly. I'm a board certified internal medicine, obesity medicine physician who, think about it, who you're in your dream job and all of a sudden you start to have symptoms of burnout. And in my case, I didn't know I had symptoms of burnout, but then it just popped all of a sudden. And so I'm so excited to kind of talk about that and how I overcame my burnout and am able to live in my zone of genius or in my passion today.
Awesome. I love it. And I like the way you call it your zone of genius.
Yes,
So,
yes.
the timing of this is great because we're entering the holiday season. We're right here, fourth quarter. Everyone's trying to end the year or finish the year strong. And one of the things that I forgot to mention, as far as some of the topics we're going to cover, is that work life balance or just balance in life, period. So, I am so happy that you can actually speak on it. Sometimes a lot of us, we tend to put way too much on our plates now that we're in the holiday season, from family wanting to come visit, or you're traveling to go visit family. For those who have gatherings for all of the holidays that are coming up, they are trying to plan everything. And for those who are doing a lot of shopping, they're trying to do that, adding all of that on top of just our regular day to day lives, work, family, kids, spouses, partners, you name it. So let's go ahead and start there. When it comes to the balance of it all, how do you balance effectively work, home, life, sleep, getting enough rest, whatever?
Okay. And the funny thing is, I have to be honest with you, it's not easy. Even though I'm a single woman, I don't have children, I don't have a family. I still have a lot of responsibilities. Not only my primary care obesity medicine practice, but then also I have my side obesity practice business that I'm starting. And so sometimes it's very difficult to find that balance. And I find that I focus a lot on the work, and then I get burnt out, and I'm like, wow, you need to focus on that balance. And so how I approach it is, I number one, make a decision that I need time to recover. So I give myself that time in the day. I actually started first thing in the morning, where I wake up, I have at least a good 30 minutes where I have my morning ritual, which includes like not only having devotion, reading like a personal development book. And then I start my day with, okay, how can I help be better at work? Finishing the messages, answering the calls at work, and then getting to work and just kind of getting into the groove. But I make sure to have that 30 minutes in the morning just so that I can recover personally. And then in the evening, I focus on physical activity. So I didn't mention this. The one thing I enjoy is actually running and triathlons. And so I actually have trained for an Ironman half and a full Ironman, but haven't done it just yet. And so I use that evening time to just exercise. So I like to go for a run, for a swim, for a bike ride. And it helps with clearing my mind because not only have I been working all day, but I have that time where I can be able to do a physical activity that helps me feel more empowered. But then also mentally, it helps me to overcome that exhaustion as well.
Awesome. So, do you feel that the 30 minutes is enough for you? And is that something that you would suggest for others to consider?
Yeah, I would. I think I would love more time, but sometimes, well, then that means I have to wake up. Like you said, wake up earlier. Like you said, sleep is important. So a lot of times if when I wake up at 5 and I have that time, I feel energized for the day. I wish I'd have more time. And sometimes when I have on the weekends or if I have time like on vacation, I'll spend more time in it. But I would definitely write if you're one that's crunched for time, just start slow. I started with 10 minutes of actually exercise, excuse me, 10 minutes of just doing my devotion and then 10 minutes of reading my personal development book. And what I find is that I'm still trying to do that reading. So I may go a little bit longer depending on is it good or not. Not as not, they're all good. But if you get to a good passage where you're like, okay, no, I need to finish this passage, we're going to finish the passage. But I definitely recommend for those who are crunched for time, just start with 10 minutes. I actually put it on my phone. I put the timer on. And when the timer is off, when the timer goes off, then I go to the next thing. But that's one way how you could get it in when you're just crunched for time.
Absolutely. I love it. I'm one of those people as well where the first part of my morning that is for me. Even if for so that's when I do my stretching. I do my devotion as well. I get my prayer time in. I, make sure to thank God for waking me up, allowing me to see another day. I thank him in advance for having a productive day. And then after all of that, I start to get my thoughts together for what I know to expect for the day ahead of me. I like to plan my days the night before. And so when I come into the next day, I'm already, pretty on top of what to expect. And so I'm right there with you where that first part of the day, don't call me, don't text me. I'm not communicating with anyone. I don't even talk like on it. The first part of my day, like I don't have any sort of conversation with anyone. I make sure to set my schedule, my own availability for clients and things like that after that time of the day. So I'm big on that. I used to not really understand how important it was until I was like, man, as soon as I answered that first phone call, it threw my entire schedule off. And so I stopped doing that. So I'm right there with you. I am big on just making that first part of the day your day to get mentally prepared, organized, relax if that's your time to relax in order to be willing or being able to just go into your day smoothly. So that is awesome. You also mentioned using a timer. I am big on time management and the tools and all the things that you have available at your disposal. So timers for me are important. I also use journals or more so a planner where every single day I know exactly what I'm doing between like what time block. Other than a timer, what other tools do you use to help you with maintaining the balance or managing your time to where you're helping yourself no longer get burned out?
Oh yeah. So you know what? I agree with you with having that planner. I'm the full focus planner that I use that has the three priorities for the day. And
Nice.
so I just pick three things that I'm going to accomplish because some days like we have so many things we're trying to do and it's just overwhelming. Like I just so much. And so I just pick three things and I'm like if I can just do these three things today, it's been a good day. And it helps me to kind of like compartmentalize because in my mind, I want to be perfect. I want to go like, bam, I was there at 8, I was here at 9. And things just don't, nothing is perfect in this life. So at least if I did three of the things, I feel good. So I think that helps me to keep that balance by having just like you said, outlining your priorities, knowing what you're doing for the day. I used to like to I sometimes will do it the day of, but I think it's definitely better to plan out your day the night before so then you wake up you already know. You already know what you're doing. So it makes it a lot easier. You don't have to spend time figuring it out.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I like how you specifically stated there are only, you focus on three main things, which
Mhm.
for those who are listening, it makes it feel, because it makes it sound that it's manageable. Because
Mhm.
some people can overload their schedule. Some people can just, be so like they have the right intention,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
realistically speaking, can they really do it without exhausting themselves or without again possibly reaching that level of burnout? So that's something that I want to make sure I point back out. Three things. Start there. Focus on three main priorities for each day. And if you achieve those things, that can still give you that sense of accomplishment. That is awesome.
Yep. And it overcomes your perfectionism too,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
something I have to deal with a lot.
Yes. Now, why do you think, because there's a lot of people out here who, who have that same thing, they want to do everything perfectly, and if not, it holds them back. They don't make any sort of move unless it's going to be perfectly done. Where do you think that perfectionism spirit comes?
You know what? I think it started when I was young. Like when you're a child and you're trying to like do excellent grades, your parents want you to be like, I need A's, like my mom wasn't she wasn't as strict, but my grandparents were. And so a lot of times they would pay us, they would give us like a little bit of something if we got A's. And when I realized that I could rack up some A's, I was like, oh, I gotta be perfect. I gotta have these A's. So this is kind of the beginning. I mean, it was just an innocent thing, to kind of help improve. I went from a C student to an A student like real fast. when it came when it came to fact he was gonna save us some money, it was like $5. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm racking up. But that perfectionist started then, where it's like, you know what? In order to get an A, I have to be perfect. I have to do this. Going through school, going through college, I remember I had to sit down with the professor and I was like, sir, I'm trying to go to medical school here. You gave me an A minus. I believe that I needed an A. And so I left out there with an A minus, but I'm just saying I still made, but it's just that thought that I have to be perfect in order to get into medical school. And even though when I look back, I was not a perfect candidate, but I still got in. So you don't have to be perfect. And but in my mind, I kept telling myself that. So I kept feeding myself this over years. And so now, fast forward to now, you're out there, you're actually, helping people, you're seeing patients, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not perfect. Why? Because the patient has to wait. I can't, I don't have my notes done in time. I didn't answer this message in a timely fashion. Now I'm not being perfect. And now I'm beating myself up. And it's leading to that burnout. But overall, this is something that, I mean, being perfect or trying to strive for perfection probably isn't a bad idea, but it gets to the point where it can become very detrimental to you when it's like your self-worth is tied into that. And so that's where I found that I started becoming where we started becoming more negative, where because I wasn't perfect, now I'm a bad doctor. So it's like my mindset changed and was tied into that perfectionism.
Yeah. And so so I know that you said that you're still working actively to deal with the perfectionism. For
Mhm.
those who are listening who are dealing with that, what's maybe a tip or strategy or maybe some sort of idea or concept that you can share with them to at least get started on the journey of not being held back by perfectionism anymore?
So the one thing I had to do was remind myself that B plus is still passing.
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah, B plus. And so even if you can't necessarily do A plus work right now, B plus still passes. So and I know it sounds crazy, but in my mind, if my notes aren't perfect, if I didn't document every single thing the patient said, it's still okay. I have a good idea of what's going on, and I'm able to give that note out in a timely fashion. And it may not be the A plus note, but B plus still passes. So I had to give my number two. I had to give myself grace. So I had to let myself know that, hey, you don't have to spend hours and hours a day trying to be perfect with your notes, because B plus is still okay. And then just continue to give myself grace. And this is something I have to continue to do because it pops up. This is not something that's gone. It's been years that I've ingrained myself to have this particular perfectionism, and it's going to take years for me to get over it. But I still have to remind myself of these different concepts that yes, you're not perfect. Number one. Number two, B plus is okay. And then number three, give yourself some grace. And then I always put number four, stop beating yourself up. We have definitely internal talks a lot in regards to this.
Yes, and that's another thing that I coach on a lot is this, what's your self-talk like? Like, are you speaking more negative towards or to yourself, or are you speaking more positive to or towards yourself? and then taking that account, so therefore you can see, okay, is it imbalance? Do I need to do more positive speaking, more uplifting, to and of myself? So self-talk is so important. So I'm happy to hear that you mentioned that, and you threw that in there for number 4 with stop beating yourself up. So that is good. And another thing that you mentioned, because sometimes a lot of people, they may see, like, after years of, when the fact that you're doing much better, doing really well with overcoming the possibility of a burnout, or not even getting yourself in that situation anymore. You're doing better with anything that you have decided to put focus on improving. And same thing, like with me, for an example, like when it comes to time management, for me, it's kind of like putting pieces of a puzzle together, because I love puzzles. And so when I'm talking to clients, or I could just be somewhere at an event, and we're just having sidebar conversations, and I talk about the schedule, and how I was able to make all of these things happen. I was able to get certain things accomplished within a certain amount of time, and people are like, oh, wow, well, I see how you're doing it. I could never do that. And one thing that you mentioned, I want to make sure that we point out, is that it's a process. It's a daily thing that you have to continue to work at. For me, every day I have to remind myself, okay, what works for me? What doesn't work for me? Okay, if I want to make sure that I get what's on my list today done, I have to make sure that I do A, B, C, or do not do, X, Y, Z. And just to hear you say also that, it's a process for you still. It's not something that just happens overnight. So therefore, people don't get discouraged. So I definitely wanted to point that out.
Oh yeah, know that you're going to have good days and bad days, but just keep moving forward. And I like how you said it, being consistent with it, continuing to remind yourself, get that negative self-talk away. Tell it to go away.
Exactly, exactly. So what does burnout look like for those who may not know if they're experiencing it? What are some different signs or symptoms of burnout?
Yeah. For me, some signs that I had was that I was less interested in things. There was things that I enjoyed to do, and I'm like, I don't feel like doing it. I didn't truly enjoy my job. Like I worked like years to get to this point, and then all of a sudden to be like, oh, this is horrible. Like I was complaining more. Like, just like going to work was a struggle. You're like, oh Lord, I got to get up again to go to work. Sometimes you can be quite irritable. Just certain things just kind of ticks you off a little bit. Other times you may find that you just wanted to stay in bed, like you just want to sleep a lot. And I pulled away sometimes from my friends and family, so I knew something was wrong. Like I just got to the point where you're like, I have to do something because I'm not being me. I'm not being me. And we only have so much life to live. And so we got to live it to the fullest. And so I realized at this point, there's something going on. I need to figure it out.
Yeah. And that's important to describe everything that you just mentioned, because some people may not know that it's just burnout versus what could look like depression. Like you said, not feeling like getting out of the bed. Well, that doesn't mean that it doesn't automatically mean that you're depressed.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's something that I like to speak about as well often, is just letting people know, sometimes it's just practical. There are practical solutions to some of the things that we're feeling, some of the things that we're dealing with. Not everything and not every case is, where there's something wrong with you mentally, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm happy that you described all of those possible scenarios or symptoms of what burnout could look like, because a lot of people can relate to those same things. And, it can, again, discourage them, thinking that there's something wrong, and that, they can't fix it, so to
Yeah.
speak. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm happy to hear you say that. So let's talk about the wellness piece.
Mhm.
What helped you to overcome? Did you ever work with a coach, a therapist, a mentor? Kind of talk to us about that.
Oh yeah. So I had gotten to a place in the burnout that I was like, I need something. And so it just so happened that I was talking, I wasn't even talking, she was doing, we were in just in the same Facebook group, and she was saying something to somebody else. And I'm like, I need to meet with this lady because she's able to help me through it. So she is a life coach for burnout. That's what she specializes in.
Nice.
And so I started working with her, and we started kind of narrowing down like what is contributing to these symptoms. And so that's when we started looking at my thoughts, because sometimes my thoughts affect my feelings, which lead to my actions. And so we started kind of getting at that, like you mentioned, that self-talk. And it really helped me to have more insight in what was going on. And by working with her, it really helped me to kind of make it through that burnout, and kind of be able, because I had more insight in what was going on. I was able to change it around. Also, you mentioned the wellness. I started to exercise more.
Mm.
I enjoyed running, but I wasn't running as much. I wasn't doing the things I like to do. And so I started to incorporate that more. And when you're physically active, we know that your body's releasing endorphins, which is a very positive a hormone that kind of actually helps you to feel better. And so by implementing that physical activity, it really made a difference for me, as well as having that life balance and kind of focusing on what are my priorities.
That's awesome. Having a coach, that's the importance of coaches having that specialization, so to speak. You said that your coach specializes in burnout. She's in a good niche. She's in a good niche or niche, however people like to pronounce it. That is awesome. So that means that she was able to really help you just pull out of you what you needed and to give you the guidance, give you the coaching, and put you pretty much put you or point you towards the right direction and provide just different steps to assist you that she felt would be able to help you in the long run. And you mentioned another thing that you implemented for as far as the wellness piece is exercising. I know for a lot of people, and sometimes even for myself, there are just some days I do not want to leave my house because I work from home. So there are
Yeah.
some days I don't want to leave my house. I'm comfortable, it's warm, I'm cozy, and sometimes you just have to just take that first step. Take the first
Yeah.
step to get out of the house. Take the first step to go to the park. Take that first step to make it to the gym. Just the hardest step, for me at least, is that first step. But when I do,
Yeah.
every single time it never fails. Once I'm out, once I've gotten my clothes on, I'm in the car, I've driven to wherever I need to go. Once I'm there, I always say, I'm glad I came.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's how you feel. You're like, I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad I took the time out. And it makes a huge difference. And for those people that where you're like, I just don't have the time, I sometimes will put a little timer and be like, hey, at least if I do 10 minutes, we just do 10 minutes to kind of get it in, you know?
Exactly. And again, we're coming back to one of my favorite tools, the timer. I say it
Right.
all the time. So many of us have like these smart watches, Fitbit
Mhm.
watches. Most of us these days have a smartphone. Set that timer, even if you, like you said, 10 minutes, even 5 minutes, just get something started and then build on top of that.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my
It
God.
makes a huge difference. Huge difference.
Absolutely. That's where my yoga started coming more into play at the beginning of
Mhm.
my day, because I love I've noticed a difference of the fact that my breathing is it's like when I'm in the middle of doing a stretch, it's
Mhm.
like my oxygen level has just improved in the moment. And so I started implementing yoga as one of my now regular routines. And when I don't do yoga, or if I'm like visiting somewhere or on vacation and I get off my routine, I can feel it. Oh my gosh. So just like, yeah, definitely just start something, doing something. It doesn't, mean that you have to go out there and, go run up a mountain, right away. No,
Yeah.
just do something small.
Start small. Yoga. I'm be honest with you. I love the YouTube. I go and I search different yoga because I need yoga just being a runner. Like you're just so stiff. And yoga reminds me that I'm very stiff. So I agree with you. Yoga is perfect. It really is perfect. The flexibility, being able to breathe and kind of just bring yourself down. So it's an excellent, excellent tool. Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. And you can do it right in your own home.
Yeah.
You
You
don't
don't
have
have
to.
to
Yeah.
leave.
Good stuff. So another thing that I wanted us to talk about or hit on is the mindset piece.
Mhm.
So talk to us about what, when it comes to mindset, what can you share with us as far as the importance of it and how to really be more mindful?
Oh, yes. So, like I was saying before, our thoughts affect how we feel, which then in turn leads to our actions. So, a lot of times when we're having like negative thoughts, it can actually lead to unhealthy behaviors, studies have shown. And so, by having a more positive mindset, number one, making a choice or a decision that you're going to look at this situation or wherever you are as half full instead of half empty is going to go a long way, even if it seems dire. So the one thing I did in my situation was I started to focus on, yes, I may be behind in my notes or maybe behind in my messages, but it's not the end of the world. And I can actually recover if I just spend so many, like 30 minutes a day trying to get through the backlog. And so just showing myself instead of saying, oh, woe is me, I was able to focus on, well, here's the action steps that I can take that's going to help me catch up. So I won't feel quite so overwhelmed. So that was a really big mindset piece is by actually deciding that I am going to change my perspective here, which was was very helpful for me.
Definitely. And you mentioned that having a positive mindset, that right there is one of the things that will make or break a
Yeah.
person's day, a person's situation. It's all about that mindset. Because if you go into a situation or a problem or a task, or just go into your work day with a negative mindset, then the rest of your day is going to follow that mindset. And you could have made such a drastic difference in how your day had gone just simply by saying, you know what? I'm going to look at this day as being positive, or I'm going to do the best I can, no matter what that is. If you just know and you tell yourself, let's do the best we can, and then whatever comes out of that is what comes out, that's going to make such a difference and a big improvement.
Oh, definitely. It really will. It really will.
Good stuff. So we've covered the four main things that I wanted to talk about. So out of any of those topics, the work-life balance or just a life balance in general, the mindset, the burnout, the wellness, are there any other things that you would like to share with us? Any other things that may have come up throughout our time of talking today?
Yeah. What I would say is for those who you may have resonated with my story and realize that you're suffering with burnout, know that you're not alone. You're not the only person that's going through this. In fact, I think since the pandemic, there's a lot of people who are stressing out or who are feeling burnt out. Inflation, all these things that are actually affecting our day to day. But know that you're not alone and that there's places where you can get help. There's life coaches, people who specialize that can be able to be of help. Feel free to ask for help. Number one, I think that was the other thing in my story is I asked for help. I knew I wasn't doing quite so well, but when I asked for help, I was able to kind of pull through. And whether it's friends, family, whoever it is, feel free to ask, and then just kind of keep moving forward and staying positive.
Definitely. I love it. I'm going to harp on the
Yeah.
one of those pieces that you mentioned. Reach out for help. There's so many people, so many companies that are out here that offer exactly what you need, but you have to take that first step and reach out and find someone. I'm going to plug myself. I am one of those coaches who work with the mind. I help you to master your mind. I help you to master your thoughts, your emotions, help you start looking at things in a more positive way. I assist you with just figuring out your purpose in life, helping you take your passions, your gifts, your talents, and connecting them and seeing how can they relate to what your purpose is. So you can reach me on my website, energyspeakslife.com, and make a complimentary coaching consultation, no obligation. Why not at least just try? Reach out and try other coaches, line you up, research a few, line up a few, and do consultations with each of us in order to see which coach, do your personalities match or mesh well with or together, before you make your final decision. So just you have to at least try. It's so many resources out here that are available to you to where you don't have to just accept living with burnout. You don't have to just accept living with everything seeming like nothing is ever going your way. No, you can change that. One thing about me, I'm big on putting my clients back in the driver's seat of their life. So, Dr. Shelley, I would like to ask you some closing questions, and these are a little bit out of the box or just some fun. So, have fun with it, okay? Is that okay?
All right. That's
Aw-
okay.
Awesome. All right. So, one of the questions that I would like to ask you is, what is your one thing? Meaning, it's that situation or an experience that you've dealt with personally, you've gone through it, and now you use it as like your motivation, as that the inspiration, that push that you need in order to overcome now or obstacles that may come your way here in the future.
So I would say when I was training for the Ironman, I had to do a lot of things that I was not comfortable with. One of them is bike riding.
Okay.
And so they have this mountain. It's like a big hill in Georgia called Trash Mountain. And when I overcame that, I realized anything that I put my mind to, I can do it. If I've overcome Trash Mountain, I can do anything else. So that's the one thing that reminds me. I'm like, listen, lady, you can do it. Just keep moving forward and
Oh,
don't
that's
stop.
awesome. And I know here in Atlanta there are a lot of like bike groups that have popped up over the last couple of years, more so since the pandemic. Are you connected with any of those bike groups?
Yes, yes. So I'm part of the Atlanta Triathlon Club, where we kind of go and we ride together, and so they help us with kind of getting prepared for our triathlon. It's just a really good community, I would say. But I do also like the Max group, where we go. Well, I went there once, but I realized that I got to get faster. I got to get faster. But they're good. They're a really good cycling club as well, and they actually take the time out to like teach you, which is really helpful for a
Oh,
novice like myself.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So question number two.
Mhm.
What word would you use to describe yourself? One word.
Mm. I think I would definitely describe myself as optimistic because I really do try to find the positive, even when it's like we're just not in a good mood, we're negative. I really try to find that silver lining.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. All right. What is your biggest pet peeve?
All right, you're gonna laugh at this, but I was thinking about. I didn't know any of your questions, but I was just laughing at myself because I thought this was a funny pet peeve. So I don't know about you, but I will use like Vaseline. And when I use the Vaseline, I like rub in a circle so that it's very flat. And so my pet peeve is if somebody were to use my Vaseline and make a big dent in it, like that will drive me up the wall. Like this is I was like, this is so crazy, but it's so true. I remember the person did that, and I looked at them like they had stole money from me. I was like, "What have you done to my Vaseline?" So yes, it's so crazy, but it's a big pet peeve.
That is hilarious. I would have never thought of
I was thinking about that today. I was like, "Man, you are crazy," but it's all right. We all have that. We always have that pet peeve that you're just like something's not right with me, but we're just gonna keep it moving. Just pray, church, pray.
Oh, that is hilarious. Oh my God. Okay. And one final question in this fun category. What would be your theme song?
Oh, okay. I love Bruno Mars and 24 Magic, or maybe that's how I like it. Anyway, it's just so much fun. It's just so freeing. It's like, let's have a party. That's how I want to see my life, as fun, free, and just living life to the fullest.
Yes, I like that. I love it. Yeah, Bruno Mars, most of his upbeat songs, they have a nice, catchy tune where it's like you can't help but to enjoy at least that 3 minute and 54 seconds.
Exactly. I'm in my car, like, yes, that's how I like. I like people are looking at me like I'm crazy.
Look
As
at
I
Dr.
dance
Shelley
it.
getting down.
Getting down in traffic.
Uh, I love it. Thank you so much for participating in those fun questions. So, again, as we start coming to a close, what is one last takeaway that you would like to share on any of the topics that we discussed today? What would you like to end on?
I just like to end on is that know that burnout happens and it happens for many reasons. It's not necessarily your fault. And so just to kind of if you don't take anything from me, just know that you can overcome it and you can make it through. It may seem kind of daunting at the time, but ask for help, stay positive, but then just keep moving forward.
Perfect way to end. Awesome. All right. So, this is the time for you to plug yourself. So, I want to give you the floor. Take as much time as you want, and just talk about what you have going on, your business location, if you're accepting new clients, what types of clients are you taking? Shout out if you have a book, if you're an author, your website, your social media, whatever it is that you would like to plug. So, therefore, our listeners can locate you, can find you, can follow you moving forward.
Yes, thank you so much. So I am a internal medicine, obesity medicine physician in Douglasville, Georgia, and the suburbs of Atlanta. So if you're looking for someone to help you with getting back on track with your wellness, weight loss journey, feel free to come to my practice, the Centers of Best Health, WellStar Centers of Best Health in Douglasville. Also, I do a host a podcast as well called Back on Track, Overcoming Weight Regain. So if you're trying to get back on track, this is the podcast for you because we're helping you, giving you the tools. I'm sorry, not overcoming weight regain, achieving healthy weight loss. I'm sorry, I just changed the title. But we're trying to help with giving you the tools you need to achieve that healthy weight loss. And if you go to my website at Dr. Shelly MD, which is .com, which is DrShellymD.com. I actually have a free course where it can help with getting back on track there as well. So I look forward to helping your audience to be the best they can in the wellness field.
Fantastic. Now, do you work with men and women, or are you more so focused with women?
Yeah, I work with both men and women. So I see both men and women in my clinic.
Awesome, awesome. Well, there you go, everyone. Make sure that you look in the description. I will have her contact information there, her website that she mentioned, and take advantage of that free course that she offered. Because, especially with the holiday season that we're coming into right now, I may need to sign up or at least listen to that podcast to get me back on track. but but other than that, thank you so much, everyone, for listening and for tuning in. That is it for this particular episode. If you yourself would like to be a guest on this particular podcast, feel free to reach out to me. You can go to my website, nrgspeakslife.com, and be sure to spell energy as NRGY. Also, if you are looking to do something different and no longer just fall victim, quote unquote, to burnout or to procrastination or anything like that, the negative self-talk, and you're now opening your mind to working with someone, working with a coach, feel free to reach out to me. Again, you can go to my website. I have a calendar right there for you to where you can schedule a complimentary consultation, and I am here for you. We can talk and we can figure out if we would be a good fit with each other as well. And I want to do whatever I can if you will help me or if you will allow me to help you and just make some improvements moving forward because, as Dr. Shelly said earlier in this podcast, time is of the essence. We only have one life to live, and for most of us, we are already on the second half of that right now. So don't forget to subscribe. Be sure to share, hit the thumbs up button if you did like what you heard today. Share this podcast out with others that you believe or feel would enjoy the information and all the valuable content that we discovered or talked about throughout this time together. Remember that when you master your mind, when you master your emotions, and when you master your assignment, you can live on purpose and live your purpose. Talk to you soon. Thanks.